Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Darian, aka LOL Not Darian on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Please, my hair is a little bit wet. If it looks lopsided, that's why. It's still drying. I am here to tell another story time. This is going to be the story time about the time a guy friend of mine caught feelings, and it was low-key my fault. It was low-key my fault. I was just doing shit in this era of my life. I was just telling some friends of mine how around this era, this was the era of my life. This was the era of my life where me and James had just called it quits. I think that's the fake name I gave him. I'm pretty sure in a different story time when I was referencing this, I called that man Alexander. That is not his fake name. His fake name is James. I will put that story time in the description box down below. But this was like around that time, and I was just not there fully. I'm not gonna lie. I was genuinely just doing shit. Like, for example, I decided at 16 that I wasn't Christian anymore, that I didn't want to be a part of the Christian faith anymore. Why around this time of my life I was going to Bible study with Mormons? White Mormons at that. Why was I going to Bible study with them? Why? My mom literally still she still has my Book of Mormon on the little armoire in our living room, because like I just put it down one day and it just stayed there ever since, and she never she felt weird about throwing away a Bible basically, so it's just there. Yeah, I promise y'all, I was literally just doing shit for the plot of it. And this story time is one of those examples. So without further ado, let's get into the story time. Around this time, my mom had made me go. Stop scratching on my couch. Around this time, my mom had made me redo two of the classes that I had made C's in, that made me not be able to go into nursing school. And I don't know why, like she literally made me redo them just so that I could prove to her that I could get better grades in them. She felt like I hadn't tried in those classes. I don't know what would make her think that when all of my other classes I got A's in. What would make you think that I wasn't trying in that? Maybe it was just fucking hard. But she decided to waste her money and make me retake the classes. And like the reason why I say waste her money is because she literally straight up told me, like, it wasn't even her trying to get me to try to get into nursing school. She literally just made me retake them, and she said, I just want you to retake them, and then after that you can figure out what you want to do. You don't have to like reapply to nursing school or anything like that, because you already say you don't want to be a nurse, but you're but you're gonna retake these classes and prove to me that you can get something better than a C, because I know you can. I couldn't. I got C's once again. But anyway, with me being in these classes, I had labs. And so in one of my labs, I think it might have been my AMP1 lab. I don't know if I said anatomy and physiology. That's the classes that I had to retake, AMP1 and 2. In AMP1 in my lab, I got paired up with this group. I just realized something. I got paired up with this group. It was one girl and then two guys. So there was a white guy. He doesn't really like matter to the story. We went on like a date or two and was like texting here and there, but like nothing ever came of it. And then there was another guy that we will call Simon. We'll call him Simon. Sure. So Simon was like this really nerdy black boy from, I honestly have no clue where this boy came from. I like could not tell you what city, what state he came from. All I know is that he used to go to Howard, and then he left Howard and came to Sam Houston, which is where I went to school at, right? He was actually the same age as me, but when he changed his major to nursing, he realized that he would just be kind of wasting his parents' money if he would continue going to Howard for nursing when he could go to a state school in Texas. So I guess he had to be somewhere in Texas, but based somewhere, grew up somewhere in Texas, but he knew that it was probably better for him to just go to a state school here in Texas, and his parents spent a lot less money for him to go to nursing school and everything than him go to Howard and do it. So he had dropped out of Howard and came to Sam Houston to do nursing school and pre-nursing. We would like talk here and there. I mean, obviously we would all talk in the group and everything, in the little group that we had in AMP. Sometimes we would all study together because like we had like lab reports to make together and things like that. So it was like, I think we were all a group for the entire semester, if I'm not mistaken. Like you got one group and that group stayed together the entire semester. I think that's how it went. So around this time, I was actually fucking off because I felt like these classes were so pointless for me to have to retake when my mom and I both knew that I wasn't going to do nursing anymore, that I wasn't going to pursue nursing anymore. So we both decided, so I decided that I just didn't really care to keep going to class. I know it's bad. I didn't really care to like just try anymore because it was like, I'm over it, bro. Like, fuck it. I would oftentimes just, at this point, I was like, make believe homeless because I didn't want to be at my mom's house, not for like rules or anything. It's just certain situations about my mom's house that made it really uncomfortable for me to like be there. And so I was like basically couch surfing at my friend's place that entire time, and that friend was not a good influence on me. I forgot what I called her, but my toxic best friend, that whole like 3-part series that I did, it was her. I was staying at her place, couch surfing at her place, and she was not a good influence because like there are certain people who you meet in college that you know are not going to finish college. Like you just know off rip. And she was one of those people that just like genuinely was not cut out to be a college student. Like she was the type that like college was genuinely just there for the plot for her. And so she would like smoke all day, 3 times a day, do pills all the time, like things like that. And when you're in that environment, it can get really easy for you to just kind of like fall in line. And so at this point, I was kind of falling in line to it, especially because I felt like the route that I was going with like retaking classes for a job that I knew I wasn't going to pursue was just pointless. So I just like, it sucked everything out of me that made me want to even try. It sucked all the motivation out of me. So I was like constantly missing assignments or like forgetting assignments were due until like the last, not even, it wasn't me missing assignments, but like I was literally forgetting to do them until like an hour before or something, and then somebody would message me and be like, hey, like what'd you get for question number 8 on da da da, and I'd be like, oh shit, I have homework. And I would like do it high as fuck, go, sometimes I would miss class and everything, and the professor that I had was not a professor that you can miss class for. So what did I call him? Simon had the same class as me because like you could have a different teacher, or I mean you could have a different professor or a different class and then have like the same lab together, because the class and the lab are not the same thing. Like you schedule them separately. So he and I had the same professor in the same class. The other two did not. So I remember one time I had forgotten to go to class, and I had one boy, the boy from my story time about my manager being a creep, that one, he was in that class with me, and he and I would hang out all the time. But like I knew he was not reliable enough for me to ask him for the notes. Like he was not going to be in class most likely, and then even if he was in class, he wasn't going to be taking notes like that. Even if he was taking notes, it wasn't going to be good notes. Like he was just one of those people I already knew. And so I ended up asking Simon if he had the notes, and he's like, yeah, I got the notes, like I can give them to you, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, cool, I'll come by at like, I don't know, I think like I said 7 or some shit, maybe 6, and get the notes from you. He said, okay, cool. I was like smoking with my friends and everything. We were like doing jeebs and shit like that. And I like looked up and I realized it was almost time for me to go. And so I was like, I remember he had texted me. He was like, oh, are you still coming? And I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'm coming. So I was such a fuck off at this time. I was so like just not having my shit together at this time in my life. So I like got dressed or whatever and ran out to go to his place. He gave me his address. I pulled up to his place. I was just, taking notes, using his notes or whatever. And we were just like having a regular conversation and everything. And he and I would like, just talk about random things. I would just listen to him talk. I didn't really have much to talk about at this point because I didn't want to talk about James. Like, I didn't even talk about James to my friends at this point. Like, it was, I think, October, maybe November, around the time that all of this happened. And James and I, like, things ended between us in September of that year. So I was just like, I didn't want to talk about it anymore with them. So I was like, constantly just keeping it to myself, just kind of like listening to everybody else talk and everything. And like, if it was an interesting conversation, I would jump in. So he and I were just like having a regular conversation. It was good conversation. And I was like, you know what, you're really cool. Like, you should text me sometime, text me more, da da da. Like, I want more friends because at this time I wanted to have more friends outside of my friend group because I also felt like not Peach, but like the other girl was kind of like bringing me down as far as like academically, and I could feel it. I just like it was one of those things where like you can feel it, but like it's so hard to stop yourself. Like imagine you falling down like a cliff and there's two rocks on the sides of you and you're just like trying to grab on but you just keep slipping. That's how it felt. And so I was like trying to get more friends who were like really more on their shit so I could have like a better influence around me. And I was like, you should text me more, hit me up more, da da da. He was like, okay, of course, like, and I see like you keep missing class and everything. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, if you ever need like the notes or anything, just let me know and I can get you the notes. And, even if you don't show up to class, because attendance didn't matter. But yeah, I don't think attendance mattered in this class, but like the lectures were very fucking heavy. And so it would behoove you to show up to class and make sure that you took those notes. But at the same time, like I said, sometimes I would just get high as fuck and then just like not want to go to class. So he was like, if you ever like find yourself in that mood, just let me know. I'm never missing class, so I can always like be there to give you the notes. I said, okay, cool, thanks. Fast forward, we're like building a friendship, building a rapport. Also around this time, the other guy in our group had like texted me outside of our group because I think we had a group meet and I ended up getting both of their numbers. I got Simon's number just so that like because I wanted to be his friend, and then I got the other boy's number. He got my number because he wanted to take me out on a date, and I was like, okay, cool. So around this time, me and the other guy, we were talking and like we were like talking on the phone, texting, going on dates, the whole shebang, but like it didn't really the spark wasn't there. And like it was one of those things where like it was there when he flirted but like it wasn't there when we were just having like regular conversation. And I needed to be there at all times, so it ended up not working out. But because of this, I wasn't really like, even though I knew that I didn't really want anything with him, and it's not because of any other reason than just like my mind was not there. Like it's so strange when you are like in a situation where you are just like extremely broken when it comes to relationships and you're extremely broken. It seems like everybody wants a piece of you in some way, because he wasn't the only guy. Like there was a guy that I'd been talking to for like 2 years that like at that point was like, oh, I'm ready to be in a relationship now. And I was just like, ew, now? Like, what the fuck? Like, on and off talking for 2 years. And then, like, anytime a new guy would come up, I would just, like, stop talking to him for a little bit until that failed. And then, like, we would pick things back up. But, like, around this time, I didn't even want to pick things back up with him. But he was, like, really trying. The other guy that I told y'all about that I had class with, it was like, do y'all just like sense that I'm drained and like y'all just want to come and drain the rest out of me? Like leave me the fuck alone. But anyway, so all of that is like I have all of those things going on. I'm not really worried about 2 year guy over here, but like the guy from my lab and then kind of that guy from my class who I've been talking to for about a year at that point, I was like kind of worried about them, but not really so much him because he was such a whore that it was just like, there's nothing that I could really ever want from you. I say all that to say I was occupied in that department, so I really was not worried about Simon in that way. And also, Simon was just very much so not attractive in any way, shape, or form. He just wasn't. Like, there just wasn't anything to it, which just goes to show just how much I was just doing shit. And you'll see what I mean. So, fast forward, I'm like, still texting him. We're still like, being friends. I would go to his place to take notes and everything, get his notes from him whenever I would miss class. And he would just like sit there and talk to me the whole time while I'm copying his notes. I would ask him, like, hey, what does this mean? What does this say? Like, can you explain this more so I could take better notes? Da da da, right? So honestly and truly, I was helping him. I'm just waiting, but like I was, because that's how like the best way to learn is to tutor. That's why I became a tutor in my major, and that's how I was able to be a fucking straight A student in my major. But anyway, one day I'm like at his place, just like talking to him while I'm taking notes. And we get on the topic of relationships, and I was like, yeah, I just got out of something. Like, I'm not really in the mood to like be in anything else right now. Like, da da da. And he was like, yeah, like I had a girlfriend when I was in Howard, and like blah blah blah. And he was just like telling me about it, and he ends up dropping that he was a virgin. Hey Queen, so actually that's not what happened. So I had to go back to an email that I sent to a YouTuber that I love watching or whatever when I didn't have a YouTube channel to tell these stories on, so that I could refresh my memory, because this was, how many years ago was this? This was 6 years ago, and I used to be high as the fuck, high as a giraffe's nutsack back in the day, so I cannot remember some of the shit. But basically, I like got two of the memories mixed up. So he did tell me about his ex-girlfriend. He told me that things didn't work out. If I'm not mistaken, he said that they had been together for 8 months or whatever, and then she broke up with him. She cheated on him, whatever, 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 right? So fast forward, I'm pretty sure I was about to leave. I'm pretty sure I was about to leave, and he ended up kissing me when I was about to leave. And I was like, oh. And like, not gonna lie, I was like a little uncomfortable, because it wasn't supposed to go down like that. It was not supposed to go down like that. Like, I just came for the nose and that's it. So I was like, oh, but like I said, do it for the plot ass bitch. I just kept kissing him, because I was like, okay, he's kissing me. Like, I guess I gotta kiss back. So I started kissing him back, and I guess like, we started making out or whatever. And then after while we were making out, things started getting heated. He started taking his shirt off, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess like we're doing this. Mind you, did not cross my mind at all to do this when I popped up at this nigga's house to get his fucking notes. But I'm just like, okay, doing it for the plot. And I found out he was a virgin, not because he told me about like his like ex-girlfriend and like all of that. I found out he was a virgin because when we were making out in his bed, he was like, he had let something slip about how that was going to be his first time. And I said, whoa, this gonna be your first time? Oh my God, it looks so oily, so greasy, so nasty, so ugh. But anyway, I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be your first time? He said, yeah. And so I was like, I actually don't want to take it right now. And I was like, let me figure out if I am like comfortable doing that, because like, I don't know. I don't know if like you want your first time to be like a steamy random hookup with a girl who's like not really in the mood. So I got my black ass up and I left. And when I left, he texted me and he told me that he was attracted to me. And I was like, well, I mean, no shit. Your tongue was down my throat like 2 seconds ago. What the fuck? And so I was like, you know what? Why not? I've always wanted to take somebody's virginity. Let me take his virginity. So when I made that decision, I ended up texting him and I told him, like, hey, I laid all of this. I texted him and I said, like, okay, I'm willing to take your virginity. I'm willing to like be your first time and everything, but I need you to know I am not trying to be on any type of romantic shit with you. I don't want to go on dates. I don't want to like do no pet names. I don't want to do no lovey-dovey shit. Don't like, if we're texting outside of like planning for these things, I would rather us just like keep it very keep it very G rated, okay? Like we are best pals, okay? Like nothing like that. And so that's how that happened. It was not him telling me like just randomly slipping out, oh, like I'm a virgin. Like no, it was when we were about to have sex when he told me like, oh, this is gonna be my first time. And that's when I was like, whoa, that's a lot. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure, big dog. Let me think about it. Let me sleep on it real quick. Sorry if y'all hear Bailey in the background. But yeah, so had to clear that up. Had to clear that up. Now, for some context, I the first two people that I had ever had sex with, because I always say that I like lost my virginity twice because I had sex with a girl first and then I had sex with a guy after that. Both of them had already had sex with other people. I always wanted to know, I don't know what, like I said, okay, just go into this understanding that I literally was just doing shit, okay? Please go into this entire portion of the video understanding that I was literally just doing shit. I had always wanted to know what it was like for somebody else to be the virgin. Like I was kind of like, oh, like I wish this was a special moment for the two of us. And so I always wanted to know, like, you know, what is it like being somebody's first? I don't even want to get into it, but like we ended up sleeping together. And I know that I should not have done that. I know for a fact, you do not have to tell me. I know for a fact that I should not have done that. And that was completely on me. Like I said, everything at this point in my life was just a fucking experiment. Me literally dating that white boy from the lab was an experiment because I'd never dated outside of my race before. Me going to Bible study with the fucking Mormons was an experiment. Like everything about this time in my life was a fucking experiment. And so I was just like, okay, cool. So I like, you know, told him I would see him later and he was like, oh, like you don't like want to cuddle or anything? And I was like, I mean, not really. And he was like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah, well, I'll see you later. And he was like, okay. And I left. I had one of the friends, one of the home girls in like my little friend group. She is a mixed girl, but she like grew up around a bunch of white people. So she was constantly straightening her hair all the fucking time, straightening her hair, dyeing her hair, frying her hair. Like her hair was fucked. And I kept telling her, like, your hair is so pretty. Like, you should just let it rock. Like, let it rock. You should let me do your big chop. Once again, a fucking experiment. Why am I trying to cut this girl's hair off? So, so she was like, she kept thinking about it though. Like, it wasn't me just like trying to push her, like, let me cut your hair off. Let me cut your hair off. Let me cut your hair off. It was also like, she kept wanting to cut her hair off because she felt like she kept saying like I'm tired of how my hair looks. Like even when I straighten it now, it looks like so disgusting, so unhealthy, so brittle, so dry, so fried. Like I'm thinking about cutting my hair off. If I do cut my hair off, I'll like, you know, I'll let you know or whatever. And I was just like, okay, you know, just keep this in mind, right? So one day when we're like all high as fuck, she comes out of her bedroom after using the bathroom and she looks at me and she goes, guys, I think it's time. And I was like, it's time? And she was like, it's time. And so she goes, she grabs a chair, I grab some scissors. Peach puts like a towel around her and picks it up so we can catch all the hair, and we just start chopping all of her hair off. We wet it and then we just cut it all the way down, like literally down to here, down to here. We gave this girl a fucking pixie cut. She went from having her hair down to her shoulders to a fucking pixie cut, y'all. And honestly and truly, it fit her so well. Her hair looked so cute. It looked so much healthier. It looked so good. We put like a little side part and like parted it, did like some baby hairs and everything. Like she looked so fucking cute. And so I had told Simon about this. I was like, yeah, we just cut like my friend's hair. Like look at it. I took a picture of it. He's like, oh, like it looks really nice. Da, da, da. I was like, I know, right? So like I said, like at this time, me and Simon are still texting and everything. I'm still going over to his place to get notes. I remember, like I said, my friend, we'll just call her Samantha. It doesn't matter. Samantha loved her hair. She even went like to a local salon to get it like shaped up and everything to make it a little bit more like neat. And she was like, I'm really loving this hair. She was taking so many pictures with it, everything, right? Keep that in mind. So one day, like me and Simon, we would like have sex here and there, but like it was really more so just for him. Like I didn't really care to, but at the same time, I was just doing shit. So one time he texted me and he asked me to come over, and I was like, oh well, I'm on my period, so like nothing can happen. He was like, oh well, like no, like I mean just to hang out. And I said, okay, cool, fine, we could do that. So I go over to his place, and I'm not like really in a talkative mood. He caught me at a time where like I had one of those highs where I just really wanted to be quiet and like just chill on my phone. So I'm sitting on the beanbag. Like I came in and I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And he like hugged me, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, we don't really do that, but okay." So I hugged him back. I like went and sat on his beanbag chair away from him. And he was just like, talking to me. And I remember, oh, I forgot. Back it up. At this time, I was on Tinder, but I wasn't on Tinder to like really go on any dates or anything. Like anytime a guy would talk to me, I would just kind of like not entertain it. But like just on there just to be on there. And I remember one guy had gotten my number, and like it wasn't even to go on dates or anything. He literally just wanted to play iMessage games, and I was down to play iMessage games. So he and I were like playing iMessage games at that time when I went over Simon's house. I'm like sitting across from Simon. He's sitting on his bed. I'm sitting on his beanbag chair. And I remember I was playing 8 ball with that guy. And I was also just like on Twitter scrolling, laughing at like random tweets that I saw while Simon is talking to me. But like when he would talk to me, I would put my phone down and like listen to him or whatever. But like he was just like being very awkward and just kind of like sitting there staring at me the whole time. So I'm just like sitting there, I'm on my phone, I'm playing the iMessage games. Every single time I would see a tweet, I would just like, or a funny tweet, I would laugh at it. And I was telling him like, oh yeah, I'm playing iMessage games with this guy that I met on Tinder, da da da. And I was like, it's not going nowhere. Like I already know it's not going nowhere, but like I'm whooping his ass. Like that's the whole reason I brought it up. I was like, I'm so good at iMessage games. I'm whooping his ass. You should play me an iMessage game so I could whoop your ass. Like da da da, right? And he was just like, oh, like you're texting a guy while you're here? Who said I couldn't? Why can't I? So I was like, yeah. And he was just like, oh, okay. And I said, yeah, okay. So then, fast forward, I'm like on Twitter, just like, scrolling in between like turns on 8 ball. And I think it was like a funny day on Twitter. So like I was laughing at literally fucking everything, and also I was high as shit. So I was just like sitting there laughing at everything. Every time I laughed, I could see that Simon was getting more and more annoyed. And so like I like would look up at him and then look back down and just like keep scrolling cuz he was just being like really strange, right? So at one point he was like, "Why don't you just come up here? What do you keep laughing at?" I was like, "Oh, I'm laughing at tweets." And I like showed him a tweet, and he was like, "Why don't you just come up here so like I can look at your phone too, and like while you're scrolling on your phone, you can show me the tweets that you're laughing at." And I was just like, "Okay, give me a second." And so I texted Samantha, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to need you to call me in like 5 minutes, exactly 5 minutes, and pretend like you are incredibly pissed off at me for cutting your hair and that you regret me giving you that haircut." And she was like, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, "This nigga is being incredibly weird, and I can tell that he thinks this is something that this clearly isn't because I defined it for him." Because that's the thing. I straight up told him like when we like before we even decided to like have sex and everything, I straight up told him like, "Look, I don't want anything with you. I'm not even really like attracted to you in that way. Like you said you're a virgin. I want to know what it's like taking somebody's virginity. We have like a give and take relationship right here. Like that's all it is. I don't want anything romantic with you. I want to make that clear." And he said, "Okay, that is perfectly fine. Like I completely understand, blah blah blah." I said, "Okay, cool." So when he's acting like this, that's why it's taking me aback, because it's like, nigga, we talked about this. Why are you acting like this? Why are you acting brand new? Like, we didn't have this conversation. So I was like, yeah, he's like being really weird. I can tell he's starting to feel some type of way, and I don't want to be in nobody's house that's mad at me. So, can you just like call me in 5 minutes exactly, pretending like you are just incredibly fucking upset with me for cutting your hair? I want you to like yell at me as loud as you can. Just yell random shit about your hair, and then I can hop in my car and drive off like I'm just so worried and so concerned about you being upset with me. She said, okay, cool. So I get on the bed with him and I'm just like scrolling on my phone while he's looking over my shoulder. And I just feel so uncomfortable, y'all, because I'm just like, this ain't how this is supposed to go. Like, this is not how this was supposed to go. So Samantha ends up calling me 5 minutes in, and she's just like, bitch, my hair is so fucking ugly. Bitch, you got me fucked up. You need to come home right now. Da, 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 da. Just going off on me. And I was like, okay. I'm so sorry. Like, I'll come. Like, we could figure something out. Like, maybe we could get a wig. I don't know. Like, all right, I'm coming. And so I hang up and I was like, I gotta go. And he was like, for real? And I was like, yeah, she's mad at me. Like, she's really regretting the fact that I cut her hair, and she feels like I pressured her into cutting her hair. And so like, I gotta go and like fix this. And so he was like, okay, yeah, I understand. And I was like, I'll text you or whatever. And he said, okay, cool. So I leave, I get in my car, I drive back to my friend's house, and I'm like, bitch, this nigga being weird. And like, they were like cracking up, and I was just like, I feel so bad. Like, I genuinely did not think this was gonna happen, because like, I don't know why I didn't expect it to happen, but like, I just didn't. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, there's something wrong with me. My thought process for the future when I first made this decision was not working properly. So I think it's because, mainly because there were like so many other guys in my life who I was, not so many, but like there were other guys in my life who I was able to like sleep with, like that I did like, who were able to just keep it pee and like be casual. And so I ended up having to turn that part of my brain off and just be casual too. So I thought like he would be able to do the same, because I'm like, well, you're a guy, you can fucking do this. But I guess not. So I end up I either end up texting him or he ends up texting me. I had to clear it up again. He did text me and told me he had feelings for me, but the way he told me was that he had texted me and said, I don't want you seeing other guys. Oh, baby, that's not your choice. I'm so sorry. Baby, that's not your decision. That's not your place. I said, oh, he said, yeah. Have any of your feelings changed for me? I said, no. No. And at some point in that conversation, he basically admits to me that he has caught feelings for me, that he does like me, and that he does want to pursue things with me. And I ended up having to tell him, like, I'm sorry, but I just don't feel that same way about you. I remember I straight up told him, I was like, you knew what this was, bro. Like, we had a conversation before we even got to business. You knew what this was. I laid it out for you. You agreed to it. Now you're trying to like go back on it and ask me to be your girlfriend. I don't want to be anybody's girlfriend right now. I don't want to be your girlfriend right now. Like, and I was like, we can like continue being friends. We could kick it, we could chill, but like, I don't want to be on that type of time with you. And he like, backtracked, and he was like, you're right. I'm sorry. I didn't know what this was when I came in. Like, you're absolutely right. Yeah, we can still be friends. Like, I won't ever like bring this up again. Da da da. Like, I can get over it. Something about it told me that he wasn't gonna be able to get over it. I knew, like, at this point, I decided to make the right decision, because I knew that he was only saying that just to get me to agree to continue being friends with him, in hopes that at some point I was going to start feeling the same way he felt for me, and I agreed to pursue things even further with him. And I knew that I was never going to get there, because the initial attraction wasn't there. If I'm not like actually physically attracted to somebody, I cannot be in a relationship with them. That is just like how I am. That's how I'm wired. I can't do it. So him like trying, I already knew off rip that it was just him banking on the effect of our friendship making me fall in love with him, where like looks wise it wasn't gonna happen. And I knew that that wouldn't be fair to him for me to continue the friendship with that in mind. And so I felt like it was my responsibility at that point to just kind of cut things off with him. And I knew that he wasn't going to be happy about it in the moment, but like I knew that looking back on it later on, once he was like over me, once he had no longer had those feelings for me and everything, he was gonna realize like, okay, she made like the right decision. Like I absolutely was gonna like just try and wait for her to like start feeling the things that I felt for her. So I ended up telling him like, actually, I don't even know like why I suggested that we continue being friends. I don't think it's a good idea that we continue being friends, and I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to cut this friendship off here. And I was like, I already know like how this is gonna go. You are probably going to enter this next phase of our friendship thinking that at some point I'm gonna change my mind now that I know how you feel about me, and you're gonna hope that like me getting to know you more and spending more time with you is gonna make me feel the same way you feel. And that's not gonna happen. And so I would just rather we cut it off now instead of me just like basically purposely hurting your feelings in the future. And so he told me like, no, like I'm fine, I promise you, like I'm not gonna do that, like I won't, like I promise I'm okay, like we can continue being friends, it's all right. Like he even said like, what are you gonna do like when you need to take your notes? And I was like, I'll just start going to class. Like I will literally just start going to class because it's not worth it. And I was like, I've made my decision that like I can't be friends with you knowing how you feel about me and knowing that those feelings are not reciprocated. And he was very upset. But like in the end, there was really nothing he can do. Like you can't force me to be your friend. And so he we ended up not texting anymore. I finished out that class. I got the same exact grade I got the last time because I put in so much work for that extra credit at the end. It was really more so the lab grade that would bring me down. Like the actual class, I kept making like B's and A's on the exams, but when it came to the labs, that's where I was like slacking on. Or not slacking, that's where I could not understand anything. Like that's where it was the hardest for me. So I still got the same grade I got the last time, and I just looked at my mom and I was like, see. But anyway, y'all, that is the end of the story. Like I said, I was just doing shit. That's what I got for being a do it for the plot ass bitch. I think after this I decided to stop doing things for the plot and like actually start thinking before I did shit. But that was a very chaotic time in my life. That was a very chaotic time in my life, y'all. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give this a thumbs up. Tell me what you think about this story down below. Tell me if you think I made the right choice by deciding to not be friends with him anymore. If you think I should have just continued being friends with him. And please, please, please subscribe to this channel. I will talk to y'all next time. Peace.
Got a lot of pains, got a lot of I feel on me. I gotta feel myself, I gotta feel myself.